Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Wood Boyles and this is the World History Project. Today we're taking a look at a major revolution that has certainly affected all of us, the Industrial Revolution. Pretty much everything we do today has been affected by the Industrial Revolution. So let's start with the question, what was it? What was the Industrial Revolution? Basically what changed was that machines and chemical energy began to replace human and animal energy. But that doesn't really tell us how it changed our lives. So let's take a look at where it started and what exactly changed in that region. It started in Britain with coal. Coal was plentiful and cheap in Britain and allowed them to power machines like the steam engine. The steam engine had just recently been created, but it changed Britain forever. Not only did it change the way people got around, like in steamships and trains, it also increased the power of businessmen in Britain. Workers were expensive before the Industrial Revolution. The emergence of the steam engine meant that the businessmen didn't have to hire expensive workers. Instead, they could just buy steam engines to power their factories and do their work. Britain was also very wealthy from its colonies and trade, primarily from its empire in India and the slave trade in the Atlantic. And finally, Britain was the center of something called the Scientific Revolution. This movement made people very curious about how they could improve their lives through science and experimentation. All these factors contributed to the Industrial Revolution starting in Britain, rather than starting in, Antarctica or something. And this had a huge effect on British people's lives. People started moving from rural areas to cities. They started work shifts at the factories, which were created during this time period. Students' lives were driven by the school bell. Does this sound familiar? People started to buy food with money from their wages rather than grow the food themselves. Most of us today go to the grocery stores rather than having farms, and this didn't just affect Britain. It affected the whole world as everybody tried to keep up with the British. What exactly were they trying to keep up with? Industrialization, which happens to be our word of the day. It means the development and adoption of mechanical and chemical processes on a large scale, such as Britain making factories or Japan starting to produce steel on a big scale. Japan's actually another great example of industrialization. However, they got a much different start than Britain. They didn't have many natural resources like coal. They didn't have a huge empire like Britain did, and they didn't have a strong business class. So today I want you to go to Khan Academy and read Japan's Industrial Revolution in Lesson 6.2. This is an account of how Japan industrialized. Think about how Japan industrialization was different than Britain's. How were the Japanese able to industrialize so quickly with so few resources? Then, in your historian's journal, answer this question. Has the Industrial Revolution ended? In just the last couple decades, the digital revolution has radically altered the ways we communicate, send information, and just interact with technology on a day-to-day basis. The way our data is being shared and used is like something out of a science fiction novel. That can be a little scary sometimes. New technologies are emerging each day, and so are new ways to use them, and to use them to make our lives better and easier. Think about some of the technologies you use every day. Is there anything you would change about them? And how might they be a continuation of the Industrial Revolution? Thanks for watching. See you next time.